Hello? 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 Hello, you're watching Self-Drive TV News. I'm Len Benedict.
And I'm Heavyman.
I'm a cynical optimist.
And I'm an optimistic cynic.
I still have a Rizzler-thin sliver of faith in the democratic process.
And I have no faith left in it whatsoever. American attempts to extradite Wikileaks founder Julian Assange have failed after prosecutors found no evidence directly linking Assange to heroic whistleblower Bradley Manning.
Manning is being held in solitary confinement and is reportedly only allowed 1 hour of exercise a day, conditions described by Amnesty International as inhumane. Assange still faces extradition from the UK to Sweden on spurious sex crime charges.
Stop the War Coalition has organised a public meeting and rally in support of Wikileaks for the day of Julian Assange's trial, the 7th of February. Public meeting and rally in support of Wikileaks, the 7th of February. As the increasingly oppressive coalition government condemn a further 900,000 debt slaves to absolute poverty in the UK, people are rallying to demonstrate against the unjust ideological spending cuts.
Around the world, people are protesting for broadly the same reasons, but amplified by decades of oppressive state brutality, extreme poverty and injustice. Debt slaves everywhere are being tear-gassed, shot and killed for daring to demand economic justice. News agencies were flooded with biased corporate news coverage of the Tunisian uprising last week. Now they are focusing on spinning the revolution in Egypt. The bigger picture is that peaceful protests and violent demonstrations are spreading not just through the Middle East, but also through Africa, America, Canada, Russia and Europe, as the World Wide Web unites humanity in a global scream for peace, freedom and justice.
The apparent unity of these unprecedented global protests' motivation for an end to corporate rule, financial terrorism, war, debt slavery and so on has been little reported by corporate media, who exist purely to repeat the propaganda of the outrageously rich. Mainstream hacks really don't know what to do with themselves in the post-Wikileaks cyber age of transparency, where the real debates are finally coming to the political fore as a new generation of activists, hacktivists, whistleblowers and investigative journalists force ideology to grapple with fact. In the UK, the coalition against the cuts is the clearest indication that people will not be divided, as students, trade unions, the peace movement, the environmental movement, and the growing ranks of unemployed find common ground in the war on capitalism.
As the fictitious global financial crisis distracts us from the very real global food, energy and freshwater crises, the European Union is currently drafting new proposals to regulate financial markets,
which roughly translates as set the price of living. The European Union of corporate bankers are being lobbied or bribed by massive investment banks who want to maintain business as usual, gambling on global hunger, debt slavery, poverty and war.
If you still have any faith in people power and the democratic process, you can add your voice to the World Development Movement's campaign to lobby the European cartel for tougher regulations here.
So, Len, you still have some faith in our ability to influence the dominant power structures through the democratic process?
Well, yes, a little. Although politics is mostly showmanship and pantomime, it is also a matter of historical record that Western democracy does occasionally concede to public pressure for civil rights reform. Thanks to Western democracy, we do have the right to freedom of speech, to post bizarre clips on YouTube, for example, and to speak truth to power.
And to be largely ignored. If like me, you have little to no faith in the current political system that describes itself as democratic, you will probably already know about the Zeitgeist movement, the global activist arm of the Venus Project. The third of Peter Joseph's award-winning Zeitgeist documentaries was released earlier this month. Love them, or like them a lot, the controversial films are the most potent symbol of a new age of idealistic cyber hippies who recognise that transcending capitalism is an increasingly urgent priority.
I were particularly impressed by the way the film presented the scientific method as a preferable alternative to politics and religion as a means of organising society. Science has the potential to reverse our current self-destructive trends by basing decisions on a logical rather than an ideological basis.
Indeed. Director and founder of the Zeitgeist movement, Peter Joseph, appears to have abandoned the sensationalist conspiracy theorist and anti-religious elements of the previous two films, Zeitgeist and Zeitgeist Addendum. Promoting the Venus Project ideals from an almost exclusively scientific angle, it is hoped that the third film will inspire yet more sensible human beings to join the Zeitgeist movement, working to use technology for social concern, not for profit.
The pragmatic, non-confrontational tone of Zeitgeist moving forward gracefully negotiates the precarious balance between extreme urgency and the need for calm-headed reflection, with humour, positivity and optimism. All three of the Zeitgeist films are available for free download from zeitgeistmovie.com. You can join the Zeitgeist movement by visiting thezeitgeistmovement.com, or you can get involved anonymously, without subscribing or registering with anyone. The revolution is not just what is happening around you, it is within you, and within me, and within him.
The revolution is within each of us, and within all of us. The revolution is now.
Thanks for watching, and please remember that every significantly successful civil rights movement in the history of our species were achieved by non-violent methodologies.
Stay well, stay safe, and look after each other. Stay well, stay safe, and look after each other.